Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of The Human Side. That's right, The Human Side of Marketing. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, here with your host, Kurt Stockwell.
We're doing it. We're humans.
We're humans talking about marketing. I love it.
About being more human. Yeah.
That's good, man. That's refreshing. How's the feedback been on the show?
You know what? I get a lot of really good feedback. I get feedback in a couple different ways. People who say, hey, I get your emails and I love the show that you do. And I'm like, oh yeah, have you been watching it, listening to it? They're like, I watched a little bit of it. I listened to a little bit of it. And then other people who are like, yeah, man, I listened to like every single minute of every episode. And I think what's important there to remember is, like, do I get discouraged if somebody says, no, I don't listen to the whole thing. I just listen to a piece of it. For them, you know, they got some value out of it. And in their mind, they are seeing me as somebody that's bringing value. So, and my point there is, if you want to do something like, you know, have a podcast like this, you have to consider the fact that not everybody's going to consume every single minute of what you do. But when you're putting yourself out there with the intention of giving back, being generous, giving something with no strings attached, people will like that. They'll recognize that, and they will appreciate that. Yeah. I've even had people that said, you know, I've only listened to one of the episodes, but I just appreciate that you're doing it. I don't get a lot of time to listen to podcasts, but I still subscribe to your emails, and I just appreciate that you're doing that for everybody. So
yeah, people recognize
being consistent and bringing value. And so I that's the feedback that I've been getting.
Quick shout out too, like, 80, I can't remember who found this. Maybe it was, anyway, 80% of podcast listeners complete an episode. So, you know, that you guys also then repurposed it into a podcast on Google Play, or Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher.
Yeah.
80% of people who actually consume it through a podcast format actually complete the episode. So I'm sure that helps too. And you guys listening can subscribe on those platforms, obviously rate and review, because it not only does it help other people find it organically, right, when you rate and review, but it's good feedback for Kurt too. So
yeah. If you like the show, rate and review it. Sorry about the green screen's acting crazy behind me.
I like it. It keeps me guessing. Yeah, you know what? I mean, sorry, just to speak to that though, not the green screen, but the in this day and age, like that is, look, it's a free show. And if there is value, one of the ways that you can quote unquote compensate or say thank you is by rating and reviewing. Like that's a great way to show that you're getting value, is to do that. So cool. Well, listen, let's talk about what people are missing. There's stuff that's missing from websites.
From their website. So
we don't even know it's missing.
Yeah, you might not know it's missing.
Or maybe we do.
I'm going to talk about it.
Rebels.
We're a website design agency. That's kind of where we are in our roots. We're getting more into the space of helping businesses with their overall message and other marketing assets and things like that. But really, we're myself, my business partner, we cut our teeth on websites. So we're going to have an episode talking about websites.
Nice. Let's do it. I like it.
So I've created a checklist that we use to help when somebody says, you know, give my website a once over, you know, give it a review, you know, what are the things that you look for when you review a website? These are things that we look for, and they have different categories. There's 5 different categories that we go through when we look at a website. There's multiple other things that you could look at on a website, but this is kind of the initial 5. Yeah. And then underneath each one of these categories, there's a few certain specific things. So I'm only going to go through one per category, but I'm going to put this whole list. We take the episode and then we create a blog post or a post on our website. So if you want this full list, go to our website, check out the title, episode 28, 5 things that are missing from your website, and you can get the full list.
Perfect. Yeah, it's a good list.
It's a good list just for you.
Yeah, there's stuff on there that you wouldn't think. I mean, it's that you're like, oh, I hadn't even thought about that. So you definitely want the full list.
Yeah. So
okay, good. Let's do it.
Okay, so number 1, we look at site identity. There's a few different categories. There's a few different things we look for under site identity, but one of them is, do you include a solution-oriented headline that emphasizes your unique value and the promise you offer from the customer's point of view with words your customer would use? Now, this is like the first thing or the first couple things that your customer or your visitor to your website would see. So this is where we want to make a statement that is not full of jargon. It's not full of shop talk. It's not your mission statement. If you want to learn more about that, go listen to episode 27.
Right.
We talked about your why and your mission statement. These are literally, what problem do you solve and how does it make people feel when their problem is solved?
In the past, you've talked about one-liners and grunt tests. Is that what this kind of is?
What this is. Yep. It's solution oriented. So we solve this problem so that you can get this result. So whatever you do, you know, we create, let's say you're a lawn care company, you know, we make your grass green so that you can love your home. You know, that's very simple and basic, but that's a really easy exercise to go through as you're thinking about what do you say when people first land on your website. And you mentioned the grunt test. If you're not familiar with what that is, you should be able to throw up in your laptop and in 7 seconds, somebody who's unfamiliar with your business should be able to grunt out very quickly. Yeah. You are a lawn care company, or you're a, you know, you sell homes, or, you know, you've solved this problem or that problem. We want to focus on the problem. We want to focus on how that makes people feel when the problem is solved, and then move on. Don't put your mission statement. Don't put really confusing jargon. Don't do something that's like really clever. Like the only way they're really going to understand what this means is if they scroll down the website. Right. One of the things I always say is never sacrifice clarity to be clever. So don't try to be cute in your marketing if you're going to sacrifice clarity. Now, there are companies out there like Geico who can be really weird and cute and clever, but Geico has more money than you. So
and they're pretty clear.
You don't have their marketing budget.
Right. What, real quick too, on this, what the category, there's 5 categories. The category of that suggestion or that tip is inside of site identity. So what does that mean? Site identity. Site
identity means what's the identity of your company? What category do you fall in? So
kind of like, what do you do? Like
website. Marketing agency.
I see. Yeah. Got it.
So when somebody lands on your website, they need to very quickly understand what category you land in their head.
I got it.
If you're unclear or you're using jargon that they don't understand, they can't really categorize where you are in their, you know, in the industry or in the market.
Okay, good. Got it. Site identity. All right, let's go to the next one.
Company information. So this is a about us or a services page. Do you include an about us or services page that speaks to how you're uniquely equipped to solve your customer's problem? We had an episode a few months back where we talked about how to create a really good about us page. And what we talked about in there is you can have an about us page and yet talk about your customer the whole time. And we gave the example of Dave Ramsey on his website. He's got a page that talks all about him, but as he's talking about himself, he's talking about how he was motivated to help you. So you're reading about him, but it's really all about you. So keep that in mind. We were just working with a client the other day who we were helping them kind of fix their copy, the words that they were using on their website. And not only their about us page, but almost every page they talked about themselves a ton. They're very educated. They have multiple certifications. They have multiple, you know, like they're definitely the upper echelon of what they do. Yeah. They were talking about that so much that it got in the way of really, well, what does this mean for me? Okay, I get it. You're smart. Okay, can we move on to like what problem you're solving for me? Where do I fit into that message? So even in an about us page or a services page, you can talk about yourself while highlighting your customer. And I think that's key to remember. Talk about they say this all the time, talk about your customer's problem early and talk about it often. Right. What problem do you solve?
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, that's super clear. And again, there's additional bullet points underneath company information. That's just the first one. So make sure you guys go to the blog post on Kurt's website and get the rest of the rest of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
The third category is content strength. Okay. do you use do you use benefit-rich bullets and short paragraphs to make the content easy to scan? Now, here's the reality. People don't read websites, they skim them.
That's good.
People don't read your emails, they skim them. We don't read magazines, we skim them. That's why all good magazines have the little pull quotes, have the little, catchy, juicy titles. That's, they want to give you the hook. They want to get that hook in your mouth by unpacking it in really short, bite-sized chunks. And you need to do the same thing in your website, especially on your homepage. I always tell people that your homepage of your website should be like a summary of the rest of your website. And so if you think about that, you don't have to unpack every nuance and nitty gritty thing about what you do, what you offer, their services on your homepage. Just have a little tiny nugget of information that's going to engage people to want to learn more. Unpack your content in bite-sized chunks, especially on your homepage.
It's hard because there's so much that even if I'm trying to narrow down all the things I have to offer and I'm cutting it down to like one or two things, I'm trying to explain all the nuances of it all. And so it can get really text heavy really quickly.
Yeah.
And it's hard to know which part to let go of, you know, which is why I love what you guys do with the clarifying stuff.
Yeah. We try to unpack your message in small bite-sized chunks. We try to use bullet points whenever possible. Consider this. Your website, people think their website is, sometimes they treat it like a contract. You know, your website is not a contract that you're asking for somebody to sign to do business with you.
Yeah.
Many times, you know, as we're helping businesses clarify their messaging, they'll say, yeah, but this service really, it is that, but it actually is kind of not that. There's more kind of aspects of this. And I'm like, you know what? Don't worry about it. You can get into that conversation when you are getting into signing a contract, or when you have that second or third conversation with the customer. Think about your website as a first date.
I was just thinking that. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So I've said that before. Like on a first date, you want to be engaging, you know, you want to look nice. You want to be all, you know, buttoned up and pretty. You want to ask very good questions. You want to shut up, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to put it all out there on the first date, right?
And leave them wanting more, right? Leave them wanting more.
Wanting more, exactly.
Yeah,
so think about your website, especially your homepage, as like a first date. You don't have to unpack every single thing that you do in one page, or even you know, on your website. If you've got something related to your products and services that is there, it's really hard to make it clear, and it can only be made clear through having a relationship with you. Then talk about the aspects of it on your website, and then say, hey, to learn more about this, let's engage, let's talk.
Right.
And because that's really where the value is in something that is complicated. If you have a complicated product or service, the way that you're really going to stand out from your competitors is you bring that human level into it, that human interaction into it, and make it clear for them. And many times that only can be done in that second meeting, or you know, schedule a free consultation or whatever. Totally. Unpack those things then. Don't try to do it all on your website.
Okay, good. So that was content strength. That was the third category, content strength.
Yep. And there's multiple bullets under there. Navigation. So this one is really important. Do you use standard naming conventions like home, about us, services, contact us, things like that, as the tabs or the buttons or the links at the top of your website, or even in the footer? Many times we're seeing it less and less, because I think people are catching on to the idea that, you know, I don't need to be clever or crafty in, you know, naming this button. You know, we just want people to know where to go. You don't want to use clever words in those buttons. Like if it's the About Us page, call it the About Us page.
Right.
Because that's what people are looking for.
Yeah.
We've been using websites heavily for the past, 10 years or so. And so a good website is going to follow some rules of what people expect to see when they come to a website.
Yeah.
So if your About Us page is like engage, like
right.
What does engage mean?
Yeah.
Skip it, call it an About Us page. And then when they land on the About Us page, then you can use those, random words that you think are, really connecting with people.
Right.
Make sure that it's clear that they know where to go to learn more about you, about your service, contact us, things like that.
Nice. Love it. Okay.
Clever in those buttons.
Yeah. That's so good. That's so good. I've seen a lot of people get super creative and you're like, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So if, we're a very distracted society. And if you can't very quickly engage somebody, that they understand what you do, what problem you solve, what category you're in, and if they can't find what they're looking for, they're moving on.
Yeah.
They're going to the next thing.
Yep. Totally. I love it. Okay. That's navigation. Again, there's multiple bullet points underneath that.
Yeah.
Bring us home, Kurt, like the fifth one.
The fifth one, really, this one is a common problem that you see. Does your website load quickly?
Oh, but the category
is design.
Design. Yeah. Yep. Under design.
Design. And there's multiple points under there. But one that I wanted to bring up was, does your website load quickly?
Got it. Yeah.
This has to do with multiple things. It has to do with your hosting provider. But many times it has to do with the size of the images that you're loading onto your website. Right. I think people are becoming more and more aware of this. Man, the phone, our cell phones, and the cameras on our cell phones, they take enormous, they take very high quality pictures, which means it's a huge file size.
Right.
And when you try to take that and load it onto your website, if it's an enormous picture, you're going to have that like loading, and the page is loading slowly. Again, right. We're a distracted society. The page isn't loading. I don't have time for this. I'm moving on.
Right.
So when you're loading your photos, make sure that you have compressed them in a way that is, when you load it to your website, you're not asking for so much from the server to, extract that big, huge, enormous image. There's multiple ways to do that. Depending on what type of website you have, like whether it's WordPress or one of the other content management systems, there are different plugins that you can use to kind of scrunch down those images. There are online resources where you can load the image up to their website, and then they'll compress the photo for you. You need to figure out how to compress that photo into a size that loads quickly. That's very important.
That's a really good tip. Really good tip. I was on some site the other day, and it was like just like you said, I went there. I was interested. I think it was something on Facebook, probably a Facebook ad, even somebody's spending money to get my attention.
Oh,
I clicked through it because I was interested, and it didn't load. And I didn't know if it was it because Facebook was keeping it in the iframe or inside their thing and it was trying to load? Was it because I wasn't on Safari? I didn't know, but that could have been it right there. It's like there just were some really high quality images that were taking forever to load, and I bounced. I left. I wasn't willing to stick around.
Sometimes we'll see people who they're trying to, on the cheap, create some sort of content on their website. They don't know how to code, or they don't know how to put it on the website correctly. So they just make in Canva or like Photoshop or something. They basically make the entire website what they want to say, and they load it all to the page as one single solid image.
Oh no.
So it's the photo, it's the text, it's the calls to action, it's everything, but it's just one giant image.
Oh no.
There's probably people listening out there going, yeah, I've done that. And
oh no.
Load that up, and you got this big giant image that's supposed to be a website. Well, it's not mobile responsive. It's loading slow.
Right. It's not indexable. Like the search engines can't find it.
Exactly. I mean, I get it. There's different times as you're growing your company where you're like, we're on a budget. We can't afford to, to have a professional build a website, but there are a lot of resources out there where you can connect with things like Wix and Squarespace and those kind of things, and do it better.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think one of the key places to start doing it better is to clarify what you're going to say.
Yeah. Clarify your message. Yep. And when you're ready to take that next step to connect with a professional who can help you create a website that's next level, we can do that. Yeah.
Where do people reach out to you if they want to have help with their market? Maybe they're even going to use Squarespace or Wix, but if you're listening, guys, if you're going to invest money, but you're on a budget, invest it in your message and then go use Wix or Squarespace to take that clear message. Absolutely. And then when you're, like Kurt said, when you're ready to work with a professional, then you can step up knowing that your message is already clear and intact.
Yep.
But where do they go?
There's a quote that I've heard many times that many times that people buy products only after they read or hear the words that make them want to buy those products. So whatever thing you're interested in buying, many times it takes more than just a photo to, to make the sale. So the words that are used to sell a product are very, very important. And again, whether you've heard those words or whether you've read those words, so get the words right. And you're absolutely 100% right, Chris. We can help companies clarify their messaging and then give them the right tools or the right guidance to use something like Wix or Squarespace because they are on a budget. So, I don't want to scare anybody away if they're like, I can't afford a $10,000 website. And you don't have to start there. You can start with message clarity. You can you can connect with me on clarifymymarketing.com. You can schedule the time to connect with me there. Or if you want to learn more about what we do, check out our website, welldressedwalrus.com, or on Stitcher, on Apple Podcasts, and on Google Podcasts. You can search The Human Side of Marketing to get more of this show.
Nice. Super good, man. Great stuff. Thanks, Kurt. Thanks for guiding us, being our guide in the world of marketing and websites. That's good stuff.
Yeah, man. Anytime.
Okay. Till next time. See ya.
All right. Thanks, Chris.